Consciousness is a natural part of its physical surroundings that engages it through stimuli. This interaction triggers perception, which generates memories and initiates a response that alters the environment. This intricate dance of memory and response leads to the parallel evolution of the brain and its environment. Moreover, like the operating cycle of an engine, the brain's information processing is cyclical. The engine's speed depends on the fuel intake, while stimulus, not energy supply, controls brain activation. The brain's glucose supply is constant, whether active, resting, or sleep. This abundant energy facilitates smooth information transmission, similar to how oiling a motor reduces friction. Thus, a stimulus is for the brain what fuel is for the engine. The experience of the present moment unfolds as a fluid and continuous flow of thoughts. Perception is reversible, probabilistic, unpredictable, and chaotic. This quantum like flow contrasts sharply with the mental timeline where memories and expectations signal distinct points. The mental timeline from the past goes through the present. In the absence of stimulus, slow frequency activations form a resting state, and its irreversible rhythm generates a temporal directionality toward the future or the past. The resting state, well defined and predictable stability, defines classical traits, which differs sharply from the perception cycle's quantum characteristics. This duality is analogous to the particle wave duality, a fundamental characteristic of particles. The particle like organization of consciousness explains our subjective sense of wholeness and our capacity to go beyond conventional logic. The recurrence of the resting state turns perception into a cyclic energy information exchange. In physics, energy relationships are the subject of thermodynamics. Specifically, a thermodynamic cycle goes through four discrete steps until it returns to its ground state. In the brain, the cycle begins with a stimulus that leads to perception, followed by a response, which recovers the resting state. This resting state represents the brain's idle mode when no stimuli are present. Thermodynamic cycles are reversible, with the cycle direction depending on the energy conditions. The regular cycle is exothermic, meaning it dissipates energy. The reverse or endothermic cycle, however, requires energy to operate. Information theory suggests that the endothermic cycle is associated with future orientation because it accumulates energy for future use. In contrast, the exothermic cycle dissipates energy, establishing a past orientation. From a thermodynamic perspective, Perception can enhance or diminish neural complexity, the marker of intellect. Neuroscience studies can distinguish the energy signatures of positive and negative emotions, supporting this distinction. However, psychological studies assign a temporal orientation to emotions. For example, learning, acceptance, and spiritual practices foster future orientation, such as hope, optimism, contentment, and confidence, whereas insecurity, anxiety, depression, and aggravation correlate with past oriented emotions like regret, remorse, and repetitive thinking. Therefore, perception is an energy cycle that continuously modifies our mental abilities. Like canaries in the coal mine, our emotions signal the direction of our mental evolution. The changes to our cognitive flexibility and intellect. These ideas, supported by other psychological findings, form the foundation of a physics-based consciousness theory, the fermionic mind hypothesis. The consequences of the fermionic mind hypothesis are rich and fascinating. Context dependence, a quantum characteristic, is a situational modification of the meaning of ball to baseball or eyeball, for example. Similarly, identical questions can produce a context dependent diversity of answers. From a classical physics perspective, social hierarchies represent varied cognitive stress, analogous to gravitational pressure differences in large objects like planets. The particle like organization of consciousness leads to our sense of separation from others. In addition, the energetic nature of emotions turns them into forces of motivation, making it difficult to direct our mood, thinking, and behavior. Thus, consciousness, like particles of matter, is governed by physical laws, underscoring the universality of these laws. The physics consciousness framework promises the machine consciousness. It provides a benchmark for understanding artificial consciousness and the potential path for its creation. It can inform social policy, education, and medicine. The fermionic mind hypothesis demystifies intelligence by offering its physicalist foundation. The universe's ability to produce intellect suggests that consciousness is a foundational building block in an exceedingly cohesive cosmos.